Hey, man, what are you doing? No. Don't do that. You need this.
We got to mix it up a little bit. I mean, I've been getting a lot of complaints by people that they don't just drink whiskey, and they like to mix it up. I mean, are you a seltzer person or are you not a seltzer person?
You're just thirsty then.
I am a little
That's
thirsty.
how you hydrate.
And what are we doing right now? Why are we here?
I actually don't know. You told me just to meet you. So what's going on?
So we are in Louisville right now for Bourbon and Beyond Music Festival. We obviously visit Louisville all the time because of all the whiskey distilleries.
Yep.
But this one is a special occasion because Bourbon and Beyond this year has an insane lineup.
Yeah.
Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers. I've had so many people DM me that they were jealous that we're going to this festival because, you know, nowadays I feel like festival lineups come out and people are like disappointed by it. You get all these new artists and I don't know, people just don't care as much. This is one that when it came out, everybody was freaking out about.
Even like Teddy Swims, like he was like way down on the list.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's a pretty major artist for,
I agree.
for being that low. But
Who else? So you got who? I'm trying to think. My girlfriend wants to see Matchbox 20. Who's another person that you're dying to see?
there was a few other. Actually, I've been listening to this new Red Clay.
I think somebody just told me about that.
Strays, I think it's
Okay.
called. Really good stuff. If you put on Zach Bryan radio, that's all you'll get is like those
Okay.
kind of those artists. So yeah, you know what? I'm a little thirsty too. So
Right? This is
I'm gonna have
perfect.
a
You know,
sip.
this is what I'm thinking of. It is concert drinks, right? We got, this is interesting. This is Arizona hard tea. I love these. If you haven't had them, it's going to blow you away.
I think I've had that one, but not the peach.
Okay. And a whiskey on the side, like talk about perfect for hot weather. It's actually 90 degrees in Louisville right now, so it's pretty hot. But I do want to start us off right. We still don't have a podcast name yet. But I say we just call it the Whiskey Boys Podcast for now.
Yeah.
Until we have something that fits. And I think this is episode 5 or 6 officially. We're going to keep growing. We're in a different studio in Louisville.
Yep.
Hopefully, wherever we're at, we'll do a different pod if we're in New York City, in Austin. But we're going to see where this thing goes. But Jeremiah just flew back here in Louisville. I was here the night before, went to a couple of dive bars with my girlfriend, and we're about to go crazy visiting distilleries, the festival, eat a bunch of food. I mean,
I need to eat some more food. Well, so let's talk about bourbon and beyond real quick. Why is it so fun? Because we went 2 years ago.
Yes.
We didn't go last year, but in your opinion, like why'd you like it so much?
to me, it's a little bit of everything I want. You know, live music is just a special thing. Obviously, big music fan. But in addition, it's a bourbon festival. So you have all these brands here like Rabbit Hole, Jack Daniel's doing like cherry slushies with whiskey, and then Rabbit Hole giving you like unique pours of their single barrels that you can't get in other places.
Right.
So these are our two biggest hobbies, you know, like going to events and drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
So to have a festival that combines the two
Yeah.
is pretty wild.
Yeah, I was really impressed the last time with it because what you would imagine is that it's just all straight, hot, neat pours of whiskey, but there are plenty of like unique things in there too. So I look forward to that. But what do you? Because you've gone to a bunch of venues and concerts and all that kind of stuff. What do you feel about the like setup and stages and all that kind of stuff? Do you think it could hang with some of the better places that you've been to?
From looking at the map this year, I think they did a different setup.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to be spread out because when we went 2 years ago, they were still growing. They weren't as big of a festival.
Right.
And they had a stage next to each other, 2 stages. So when one band played, the other one was just sitting there. And then the other band would finish, and then they would put another band on that one. And you're like, you could almost sit in that one spot and just watch back and forth.
True.
This one, I think you could run to like, there's 3 or 4 different stages if I'm not mistaken. So I like that. I like that they've grown. And I just can't believe like the acts that they got this year.
Yeah, and even what's even kind of fun, some of the talks that they do, because like Fred Minnick,
Yeah.
they have like other creators and even like Jim Gaffigan.
That's what I was gonna bring
think.
up.
It's so cool.
I can't believe he's there.
Yeah.
Like, great comedian. I used to watch him in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He did.
Was it?
Oh yeah, I got it. Hot Pockets.
Oh yeah.
Hot Pockets. And even talk about getting diarrhea. Anyway. Yeah, so that they do like this separate stage where I know sometimes they'll do a chef where he talks about how he cooks food, and they'll bring on master distillers to talk about their techniques. And that's why we were here 2 years ago. They brought us on. We did like an influencer one with us and a couple other influencers. And we were talking about how we built our collection, how we started our collection.
Yeah.
Which is actually interesting. I mean, we're talking about Bourbon Beyond, but is that something you can give us a quick little take? Like, how did you originally start your whiskey collection in like a short way?
Yeah, I mean, my collection has been amassed through, I mean, a lot of relationships. So I really was diligent about meeting different managers of liquor stores, developing those relationships, and kind of getting those special allocated items here and there.
It took time.
Get some texts, get some calls, but also supporting the stores in different ways, and just shopping a lot is really how to, amass.
So the manager
something
sees
like
your
that.
face.
Yeah,
You make it a priority to say hi to them.
But
most of
saying
the time.
hi and being friendly and being nice, and not just getting, because what happens is when you start collecting, you look for all the super allocated things, and you have to drink some of it too. So I would, those single barrels that some of those stores come out with are fire, and you go with those first, and you build a relationship that way.
Exactly. It's funny. I was just in Jersey with that whole fiasco. Remember, with all the flights being canceled. And I got the pleasure of going with him now that he's built this reputation at his store. And we go in there, and I know this doesn't happen every time, but we grab a couple bottles, we shoot some content, and then the store owner comes over and hands him a Russell's 15-year and a Weller single barrel.
It was a Weller CYCB or
EB?
whatever. The white label, and then full. All right.
Yeah. So they gave you two a legit Weller that could go for $500, even though it's not the MSRP. And then Russell's 15 when it just came out for $250. And I'm just like, what is happening? I took my opportunity with it, and I was like, hey, I'm only in Jersey for a couple more days. Do you have any more for me, possibly? And the store owner just took me in the back and grabbed us a Weller Foolproof, which I've been searching for a while now, because I finished a bottle way back and loved that one. But I was amazed, and it just goes to show, like, since I saw you in New Jersey, the difference, because you still had a reputation when we would go there, but you could see like their eyes lit up when they saw you because they were excited that you were there shopping, and they also know that whiskey is like your major hobby, so they want to talk to you about it.
Also, good purse.
And, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the thing. It's the money.
Yeah, that's true though. I mean, I think also, you just have to go out a lot to all different stores because it depends on your state, obviously. Sometimes I cross state lines as well to go to Pennsylvania to find things that I wouldn't be able to find in New Jersey. Traveling here, I think, we'll be taking a look at some stuff that we can't get, anywhere else. So I think that's a big thing. It's a little bit over, like way too many bottles right now.
Yeah.
Things are on the floor. It's messy, but it's really fun.
I love it. Well, I would say that this is a good opportunity for us to cheers and review this old Granddad 114.
Dude, it's been a while, and I'm so excited to actually try it because cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's been a while. What did we have at Beam? The 15-year that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, so if you listen to our other podcast, we were in New York City, and we got invited to the Suntory headquarters, which Suntory owns Jim Beam. And yeah, they pulled out some special bottles for us to try. And the old Granddad one that's not even released, we got to try. We got to try the Frankfurts.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's one other crazy one we got to try. But that was a wild experience. But seriously, if you're looking for a bottle that's affordable, because that's been a big theme with our followers recently, is I don't realize like the affordability of everybody. Because I'll be like, these are 5 affordable bottles, and they'll be $55, and they're like, oh, I thought you were going to tell me $20 to $25.
How about your perception about that? Because back in the day, Smirnoff's $14, so we're gonna go with who's gonna spend $50, and now we're so numb to that.
Yeah.
I'll drop $100, no problem.
Yep.
It's crazy, but anyway, yeah.
I know. I don't want that to come off the wrong way because we're not people that do that with other stuff. It's just because that's our main hobby.
Correct, and it's changed my perspective because now like 200 is like the crazy.
Yeah, like I'm not going to do it unless it's good. But you're right. We used to say that. I'm not buying a $100 whiskey bottle unless I know for a fact I'm going to love it.
Yep.
But now it's the opposite. If I hear people are like, this is before I already knew what Russell's 13 was, but they were like, it's 130 and everybody wanted it, and everybody said it was good. I was like, I don't care, I'm buying it. You know.
Yep.
So back to Old Granddad 114. We're gonna give it a quick review, but I want to say I got this bottle for $17.99 at Specs, and for under $20, I already know it's one of the best bottles that you can get out there.
Wow.
For that price.
You know, it's getting harder and harder to find this at home.
No way.
For me. Yep.
Interesting. Very nutty on the nose.
That follows through on the palate too.
Mm.
The nut.
In a good way too, because I personally hate like really nutty whiskeys.
Yeah.
But this one is like a light hint of nut.
It's pleasant.
And that's what I tell my girlfriend. You're gonna get a light nut. Wait, sorry, we're gonna get this is
Yo,
gonna be off
cut
YouTube.
that. So yeah, this is higher proof than the Bottle and Bond, which is the regular.
Another great one.
Yeah.
At like what, $14, $15, $16 you get the bottle and bond?
Something like that too.
Yeah. This is crazy. I almost get like buttered popcorn.
I got a little. Yeah, I guess that's how. It's almost like a caramel corn. to me.
Yeah.
You know, like that
There's like
saltiness
salt.
and.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I don't know if it's that Arizona tea, mix, but
I know that's gonna mess up your palate. Which once again, we're not sponsored by Arizona, but you need to try these. Overall, I would give this like an 8.5 out of 10 for a bottle that's under $20.
I was gonna say you're including the price for
Yes.
that. Yep.
If you took away the price and I compared it to other stuff, it's like a 6.2 or
Correct. Which means it's still solid.
yes.
It's still well over average.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm probably, because of the price, I'm in the 8s as well. I mean, for what you can get, it's crazy.
It's crazy. So yeah, for the people out there looking for a budget bottle, which I am too, that's why I bought this. Old Granddad 114. So Bourbon and Beyond, we're going to see Tyler Childers, Zach Bryan. Another thing we're going to be doing while we're here is visiting whiskey distilleries in Louisville, which actually, before we jump into the whiskey distilleries, because I want to give you guys some amazing whiskey distilleries to visit and ones that we're going to visit.
Yep.
Let's just talk about Louisville in general. What's your thoughts on Louisville?
I like the history. It's very historic, obviously because around whiskey. I would say the food is actually very decent. Like fine dining things all the way to like regular, burgers and stuff. Because you would just think like, okay, we're all doing just drinking activities, but food's actually very, very impressive. Even some of the art that's here in like the Nulu district, I think it's what it's called. It's kind of like Deep Ellum, Dallas. Like you get that kind of
There is a little bit of,
grungy.
I think that's why I like it so much because it almost gives me some Austin vibes.
Yes, like East. It's like a very East, feel. So yeah, that's all those things I really enjoy.
I agree. I mean,
It's like a city, but not city
Yes.
skyscrapers. So
I think that's what it is. It's not too packed. It's not too many people, but you're getting all those things you still want in that city. Like I get in Austin. I'm a big dive bar fan. I know you love dive bars too. And they have a ton of great dive bars here.
right.
And they have the high-end bars where you can have a cigar and a whiskey.
Yep.
Whereas like usually most cities that are as populated as this city, you don't find those things.
Private club, those kind of things. Yeah. So I'm impressed.
Me
with
too.
it, and I'm excited to be back to explore again because I'm sure there have been changes since the last time we were here. It seems like
Exactly.
every time that we come, there's a few more changes, which is a positive thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I'm so excited for the distillery tours too.
Oh man,
We're gonna do some heavy hitters.
heavy hitters. So that's our goal. We plan to come to Louisville a lot, but because we're only coming once or twice a year, we still want to make sure it's a worthy trip. So we talked to a lot of people that are very experienced in coming to Louisville, and they gave us the must-visit distilleries out here. And here's the ones that they said we have to go to. Starting off with the one that I got recommended the most, which might shock you, might not, and that's Maker's Mark.
Yeah. And it's funny because that shocked me.
It shocked me too.
I said,
because
really?
I was like, oh, just Maker's Mark, like that one bottle you just see everywhere in the store. So the guy who recommended it is Travis Tober. He is the owner of Nickel City in Austin, Texas, but he's opened bars in Vegas. He's opened bars in New York. He originally owned a bar in Buffalo, and he's well known. I mean, when we were just in New York for a trip, people were like, "Do you know Travis in Austin?" I'm like, "How do you know who he is?" And I hear that all the time.
It's awesome.
So anyway, this guy's been around. He's been to Louisville a ton because he's done barrel picks for his liquor store.
That's true.
Or bar.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So he said, coming from a guy like that likes whiskey and has been around the block, that he's been to Maker's Mark 13 times.
That's wild.
And he will go back. He said it's one of the best bar programs. So when you go there, they say you have to try the cocktails because the person who makes the cocktails he's like, if I could hire that person, I would.
Wow.
But they're staying in this area for whatever reason. So that's something that's exciting. And then they said the actual tour itself is out of this world. I wish we already did it so I could tell you guys about it.
I know. You have to tune in for next time.
Yeah.
We'll go over that experience.
That's a good point.
And then you said food, right? Or something was
Yeah,
really
so I
good?
think there's a lunch, which I haven't heard much about.
Oh, okay. I thought you said food was
I think we're
decent.
doing a lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the dipping.
Yeah, I mean, to play with that. We kind of did something, at Garrison. That was kind of fun.
I know.
Intimidating, but fun.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar, some bottles will use like wax on the top, and Maker's Mark is one of the most famous whiskeys that offer the wax on the top. So we're actually going to be able to dip it ourselves. Now, are you familiar with the wax that goes too far?
Yes, the dunk. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm going to baptize my bottle. I'm going all the way.
Like, no, sir, you're not allowed.
Yeah, I think I might go heavy.
Okay.
I think it would be cool.
Me too.
Yeah.
I hope they let us.
Sometimes they'll purposely, well, this is legend. I don't know how accurate this is, but purposely, allegedly, bottle, workers will dip too much on the bottle as like an Easter egg or try to find it on the shelf.
Oh, cool.
So people search for those, and I think it's a fun thing to do. So
I like that.
I haven't found any yet, but apparently it's a thing.
Yeah. Huh. So yeah, Maker's Mark, and then where else are you excited for?
I mean, Michter's is just my all-time favorite, so sorry, I have to do it again.
Yeah, we've been to Michter's before. We're going again, which they do the bottling, which is awesome, straight from the barrel.
You want to do that? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
You know what's interesting though? They might do a rye. It might be something different because they switched that out. So it'd be interesting to pour something or to bottle something else. But yeah, Michter's. I mean, the bar upstairs really good too.
Yes, Fort Nelson Bar.
Yeah,
I think it's called.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Michter's has two locations, but in the downtown Louisville is the Fort Nelson Distillery.
Yes.
And that's one we've been to. That's one we recommend because they do have this like high-end bar upstairs that you can just go after you do the tour. And that's some specialty cocktails that you have to try.
But if I don't get a pour of the 25 year, I'm going to freak out.
So we've tried the 20?
Yeah, 20. And then what? Jim Beam too?
Jim Beam's the other one. Yeah. So Michter's, what I'm excited for there is to do the bottling, which I think it's like $250. Or is it less? Is it like 180 or 250?
I thought it was less.
Maybe it's like 180.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But if there's an experience as a whiskey person, I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're a whiskey person. Go to Louisville, go to the Michter's Distillery, and then do the bottling. They're going to give you your bottle. You're going to go up. You can fill it yourself. The juice in it is actually legit. It's one of my favorite whiskeys I've ever had.
That was one of the most surprising things. It was
I'm
how good it was.
Milking it like at home. So that's one for like $180, I think. You're going to want to do that. Visit the bar up top, do the tour, and it's some of the best whiskey that you can find out there.
Yep.
And then next, we're going... Actually, no, that's going to be the first one is going to be Friday. We're going to the Jim Beam Distillery.
Yeah.
Which I don't know as much about, but from what I've heard, it's another great one.
I don't know much about the tour and what you'll see there, what products, because they're a giant company now. So I don't know what we'll get to experience, but I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
That'll be another one to hear back. And if you're on YouTube, you're probably going to see this, but we're doing vlogs too. So we're going to do a whole vlog of the visit to the Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, and Michter's Distilleries as well. So that'll be really fun to show off.
For sure. For sure. What's going on in Austin? Anything happening in Austin?
It's like picking up big time right now because it's fall season. So we have all the festivals going on, ACL festivals happening, and then you feel the city just picks up in general.
Where's music being? Is that like all over or?
Just like music in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have, so many historical venues that you can go to, but you can also see an uptick in like the artists that are coming to the city.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's just amazing. And like Sundays were dead during the summer, but now football is back. So even when you drive around the city, you're just seeing like mobs of people out drinking.
So Austinites watch football?
I know. It's kind of
Wow.
weird too because in Austin, you would think it'd be like a bunch of Dallas Cowboys fans.
Yeah,
But there's so many people from outside of Austin
that's true.
that it's just all these random jerseys.
That was
walking
just like
around.
all college ball and stuff, but
Yeah.
interesting.
And I'm a Giants fan, so my season's already over, and I'm
Yeah.
already like waiting for Knicks to start. Which I wonder how the sports in Louisville are. Tell us in the comments. I don't know. Maybe they're more familiar, but I mean, they have a baseball team, I believe, and I don't know. There's not an NFL team, so
No.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I wonder how sports are here. Like,
Yeah,
is it a sports town?
Who do they? Right.
Yeah.
Because what are you closest to?
Exactly.
You know that you're looking for.
And we got what? Nashville is an hour and a half because me and my girlfriend were talking
True.
about this on our way here. If I didn't have the ATX drinker page that I do in Austin, I think I would live in Louisville. Just because it is a little calmer city. I like that as I get older. But then I still have those things that I want. Like we said earlier, the dive bars, the restaurants, the events.
Yep.
But the number one thing that attracts me is that Nashville is only an hour and a half away.
Wow.
So if you do want that city life, and it's one of the most popular cities in the U.S. right now, it's still right there.
And that could be a whole weekend. You know, that's your weekend. Wow.
Which
That's cool.
Give me like a 15-second thought on Nashville, because we just went to Nashville for a bachelor party, and I want to hear your thoughts on that few days.
Pretty. Beautiful.
The girls there were insane.
And the guys too, man. Everybody's so beautiful.
That's the problem with living in Austin, Texas, and then going to a
Actually,
city
I
like
fell
Nashville.
short.
Yeah.
I'm 6'2". I fell short.
Every dude is like 6'4", blonde hair, pearly whites, blue eyes. Same thing with the girls. It's like all the beautiful people go there to vacation.
You know what? I originally, or whatever, I guess I imagined that it was a very small, honky tonk, these little, it blew my mind how big some of these bars are. 4 stories, each floor, a different theme, a different band or a DJ. The loudness all over and up and down the street, everybody playing music. I mean,
Crazy.
it was.
As someone from Austin, if you like country music, honky tonk, you are going to party hard. I would
Honestly,
say,
dude, some of the DJs were. Remember, we were listening
that
to some.
rooftop party.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DJs were legit. So yeah, that's true. I guess if you're just trying to have a fun time,
Music?
it's good.
Yeah.
Music. But yeah, I say if you lean a little towards that country, go there over Austin.
Definitely.
You know, if you want to go to Austin and maybe go to a bunch of food trucks and you just want to go for the history that's there, sure. But I hear a lot of times like people say that Austin is a place for bachelorette parties and bachelor parties. Yes, you're going to have fun. It's definitely one of the best cities in the U.S. But I thought Nashville was more of a party city than Austin's a party city.
And honestly, I guess it was East Nashville. Mm-hmm. Because that area too, with Attaboy
Yeah.
and these other, dive bars that were super high quality, reminded me like a Nickel City where quality, just because it had a certain vibe, didn't mean it was a bad, you didn't have a dirty cup or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I was really impressed.
Me too.
I was happy with that place.
Yeah, so I mean, that's personally me. If I could live in any cities in the U.S., when I was born in Jersey, I was looking at Philly. New York was a little too expensive, and it's gotten a little crazy lately. So I landed in Austin, and I could probably live there forever. If it wasn't there, I would consider Louisville as a huge whiskey fan, or Nashville, just because I feel like you get that balance you're looking for with the nightlife. Do you agree with any of those, or is there any cities that you would like? If you could live in your dream cities, which one would you pick?
I actually really love Charleston.
Oh, I haven't been, so I can't say.
Because the food's outrageous.
Okay.
I like to eat.
Like
But,
fine dining,
yeah.
or a little mix of. Okay.
yeah, fine dining is like amazing. I mean, and then like the seafood, the beach. Your coastal, like very close to the beach. So, I mean, I love that kind of vibe, old school, kind of like this too. Believe it or not, some very decent whiskey. I mean, a few whiskey bars that I went to. As far as like distillers and stuff, probably
I was
not.
gonna say.
Bar wise, they do
Wonderful.
appreciate because as like a fine spirit or whatever. So yeah, I just love the whole vibe there. But Nashville's really close.
It's intriguing, right?
Yeah,
In Nashville, we went to Nelson Greenbrier, which I think we already talked about this on another podcast. Maybe we didn't.
I
But
don't know.
that's if you're in Nashville, go to that distillery. I couldn't believe how much history they have.
Yes.
And the whiskey's really good. They had a honey cask, which was the best honey whiskey I've ever had. I wouldn't say it's infused with honey. It's actually put in a
In a honey barrel, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So they're kind of just pulling it out of there. It's expensive. I think it was like a $200 bottle. But yeah, that's Nelson Greenbrier. I think there's Nashville Barrel Company is another one to visit in Nashville. What's the one that's a flavored whiskey that's very popular that we didn't get to go to?
Was it it wasn't a
It's very it's like, oh, is it the moonshine one?
yeah, I was gonna say, is it a moonshine?
Yeah.
Old Smoky?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's definitely it. Which is
Yeah.
funny because I remember us like when we first started hanging out, we were both like, we were into like going to restaurants, getting cocktails, smoking cigars, but we weren't into like the neat whiskey drinking yet. So back then we would drink like blackberry flavored whiskey. And I remember you'd come over and I would have a cigar with a Diet Coke and blackberry whiskey mixed into it. And then I'd wake up the next day with the worst headache ever. And now we're the whiskey boys.
Bird Dog.
Bird Dog. That was the one. I was trying to think in my head which one it
There's
was.
another one, Bird Dog.
Because I
Yep.
think they actually added sugar into it.
Yeah, but it's so funny because they're regular whiskey or because they also own Calumet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's super respectable
Yep.
and great. It's just so funny that, every brand has like, their line of that kind of stuff. Your entry, you have to start somewhere. So
Well, that's what I'm learning, especially for the people out there who are probably like super whiskey experts or whatever, is that we only see that world. So then we think everybody thinks that way.
yeah.
And even as our followers, like right now we're at 144,000 followers. And it's probably like 10 to 20% are like legit whiskey collectors, neat drinkers. The other 80% like flavored whiskey still.
Yeah.
Like cocktails more than they like to drink whiskey neat. So that's one thing I always think about is like, we're kind of alone on this little island. And
I know. Well, you know what it made me think of? Like I've been rewatching The Office for the past, the 80th time. And I was thinking about Michael Scott and there's that scene where he's like mixing a drink or Meredith mixes a drink and it's like all these, these things. Or no, I'm sorry. Michael mixes that drink where it's like a bunch of different liquors and stuff. But I was just thinking, like, how do you think Michael would take his whiskey? Definitely not neat.
No,
right?
for sure. But like, yeah, he's the type. Michael Scott from The Office would get whiskey with like too much ice on it so it's watered down.
Yeah.
And he would add a Splenda packet to it.
But mix it with his finger.
Yeah, mix it with his finger. And he'd be like,
He would definitely like it sweet.
yeah,
So whatever it is, he would definitely like it sweet.
that's funny. I'm trying to think, what whiskey do you think Michael Scott would drink?
Ooh. I would. Could you imagine Fireball on ice or something like that?
And he would think it's classy.
Yeah, he would definitely go for the budget bottle.
Yeah.
He's not spending a lot.
Yeah.
Because he's
Or he would think it's like special and it would buy like a cheap one.
true, but he has financial responsibilities with Michael's Tots. So he can't spend too much, but price point. He would drink that Bird Dog, dude.
I know.
He would
And
love that.
He would think it's like classy.
What other characters?
I know, that crossed my mind. Like
Any
Dwight.
other? Oh, yeah.
See, Dwight is an interesting character because I could see him pulling out like a vintage Scotch that was passed down in his family,
Right.
and you're actually shocked. You're like, Dwight, this is like really expensive, right? But he would have no clue.
It would just be because it's old and it has like that tie to his family.
Yeah.
Or I would think about something super high proof, so like Hazard, because that's the purest form, and you don't want to mess, you don't want to dilute it in any sort of way or something.
And he'd be like, we actually used to give these to the children in the family at 3 years old, so they knew how to grow up to be a man.
Exactly.
With hair.
How about Jim?
Jim's an interesting one. I feel like he would be the guy that would like prepare one old fashioned when he came home on Friday night and would sit down and then he would play like video games or watch like the sports game that was on TV. Like he's still like a put together man that probably likes like fine dining, but he also likes to like unbutton his collar, sit on the couch, have that one drink, and that's it. He doesn't seem like the type that would go crazy.
Yeah. I feel like Kevin would drink an entire bottle. And then Creed would use the bottle as a weapon or something.
Yeah. Creed honestly is such an underrated character in The Office.
There's been so many. I've been watching on Peacock the extended or whatever fan cuts or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're longer. I could see why they had to cut some of those because they're too long. But dude, there's some special nuggets with Creed that he's in that are just amazing.
Here, give me your glass. I'll pour.
Yeah, give me more.
Let's get this going because also we are going right to bourbon and beyond after this.
Oops.
And my girlfriend's freaking out about Matchbox 20. And yeah, we've been stressing because we only have 3 tickets and we had to get a 4th. So that's been a whole mess. And they're like sold out because everybody wants to go. But
it'll be fun.
this is like your pregame because you just got off the flight and you got to ramp up before we get in there.
I had a mimosa this morning.
Oh boy. Dude, okay, what's alcohol for you that changes your moods? Like, let's start off with whiskey. When you drink whiskey, because everybody always says that, oh, don't give me vodka or I'm going to want to fight like a Russian or something. So let's start with whiskey. How does whiskey make you feel, whether that's energy-wise or emotionally?
Energy, it makes me feel not chilled out, not
Same.
like more calm, not sleepy, but chill.
Yeah.
And I could feel like I could relax because it feels like that kind of I'm taking my time sipping. Emotionally, I start having interesting thoughts, and I don't know if it's because I smoke cigars a lot,
Like that.
So then I start brainstorming a lot, but in fun ways, and dreaming about certain things. So
I like that.
yeah, that's how I feel about whiskey.
Because I don't know. I never connected that idea that I'm thinking more to whiskey. Definitely with cigars with you. Like, I love that. When you and me have cigars, we will be like, what? Are we going to start a business?
Yeah, a lot of conversations. Exactly.
Which I've heard like nicotine can actually like boost brain waves.
Sure.
And stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's good. Same thing with whiskey for me. Whiskey emotionally, I feel the same. I actually I would say I get more loving. I open up more, so I'll just like want to have this need to tell people how
Sure.
much they matter to me. I'm willing to like hug, but when I'm sober, I don't want to hug. But not the angry. I never related to the angry thing.
Same.
Right?
There's no alcohol that makes me
Same.
angry. I will say that like wine and wine, champagne, things
Makes
like
you
that
beat your wife.
makes me very sleepy.
Yeah. Okay.
So like if I stop drinking, I'm ready for bed right after. Whiskey, I don't know if we change. I can just keep, no problem. Keep sipping.
If we don't drink anything else, I could have 10 pours of whiskey and be fine.
Yep.
What about tequila?
I don't think I drank enough tequila to like say, whoa, I get crazy, but it's delicious. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I've gone to like a couple EDM shows in Austin, and I'll do like tequila
Soda?
sodas and stuff
Okay.
like that. And I feel like it gives you an energizer boost. I had this one friend.
Oh, you feel more energetic.
Energized.
Wow.
And I had this one friend that
bubbles
actually
in the
said
soda.
that. They said that these people on Wall Street, that they would do like tequila on the rocks because it kept you going and you'd be fine with no hangover the next day. It would give you energy at night. They said it's studies show it's like one of the things that give you energy. I know. And that was like Wall Street's go-to, and probably cocaine.
I was going to say it's probably the cocaine, but I wonder if anything with the base of it or the
Agave?
Yeah, I do wonder if that makes any difference.
Yeah, because that is like kind of like a sugar, right?
It's a
That might give
sugar,
you a
yeah.
boost. But no hangover, which I've heard as well. It's one of the rare spirits that do that. That's another interesting subject. Like, people say the quality of how it's distilled is what causes hangovers.
True.
And when we
Okay.
do a lot of distillery visits, they say that. And they're like, because we do the purest form.
Sure.
And I'm
But
like, liar.
yeah. Well, the filtering is a whole thing too. That stuff.
Yeah, like
stays behind, but
Jack Daniels is ultra charcoal filtered. Does that mean you're not going to get a headache the next day with Jack Daniels?
I don't know. You guys tell us. I think anybody who's had a lot of Jack Daniels has felt otherwise. But yeah, interesting. And I don't know about that.
We are going to be drinking Jack and Cokes at this festival.
I'm ready.
I'm so hyped for that. Like that, there's a difference. We are big situational people.
Yes.
So if we're at a fine dining restaurant, we might want an old fashioned or a Manhattan. If we're at home doing a tasting, we're going to do neat pours, of course. At a festival, if it fits the situation to have a Jack and Coke, we will have a Jack and Coke.
Yeah. And like I feel like with those kind of situations, you know, cigars, weather,
Weather.
you know, those kind of situations, I feel like I change what I go for as far as a pour. So like, you know, it's summer's over. But it's fall. So what do you I mean,
Ooh.
is there something that you're pulling for? Is there something that you're reaching for now
Great
that it's fall
question.
for whiskey?
For me, when I think of fall time, I do lean towards some rye whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
And a rye that comes to mind specifically is High West Midwinter's Night Dram.
Oh yeah.
It's gone up in price like crazy. Now it's like 150.
Yep.
But damn, it's the best rye I've ever had.
So good. So complex. Bottling's awesome. I like the wine, you know, look,
Love it.
that wine bottle. And for every release, yeah, it's been great.
And I know this is not the exact same thing, but another one that I just personally love. And I don't know which one I like more, but it's the Burr Rye.
Yeah.
And that's another one that's great. It's very hard to get your hands on.
Yeah, good luck getting it.
Yeah.
Unless you're at the distillery. Apparently they still
Oh, okay.
it's all distillery only now.
I like that.
Which I would love to go there.
We are. I'm like we're making like you have to
See?
believe it.
We start having
Yeah. So
ideas.
we should
Let's
open
go.
a distillery.
We need to go west.
Let's go west. I just watched Chris DiStefano. He did a podcast, which he's one of our favorite comedians, by the way, and he's doing Christeries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's history because he loves history.
Yeah.
And he talked about the gold rush, and he like told a 30-minute thing on the gold rush
No
about how
way.
he went west, how many people died, how many people didn't even like make money and sacrifice their life to
Yep.
go. And I thought that was fascinating. But we're drinking whiskey right now, and that made me think of it.
But yeah, the rise.
Yeah. So for you, when it's fall time, bonfires, cigars, flannels, what whiskey do you think of in the fall time?
I think, I mean, rye as well. So I'm going to copy you with that. I would go with smoky things as well. I would actually, I've been reaching for smoky or peaty scotches,
Okay.
not as much as bourbon, but to switch it up. And then like higher proof bourbon. Those to warm you up. And they go with some of the heavier items that you're eating, you know, those kind of things. So I definitely go that way.
So this is, as somebody who doesn't drink a lot of scotch, this could be useful for some people. What's the scotch you think of for fall time first? That's my first question.
Interesting. Probably like an Ardbeg. I mean, those are pretty heavy and very peaty, but an Ardbeg or a Lagavulin, especially I've been loving the Nick Offerman Lagavulin releases, and he's got a few like finishes. So you'll have like that very peaty, smoky scotch, but then paired. He did one with like in a Guinness stout cask, or so it'll bring down some of it, and then a little different or an interesting note. The last one was like Caribbean rum cask, so it had like this sweetness to it too that together was like really, it was great.
I'm gonna get off subject a little bit, but I just saw this recently. Have you watched the Last of Us TV show?
No.
Watch it. It's HBO. So right there, it gives it a lot of like
Oh,
respect.
Wait,
This
yeah.
zombie show.
I watched like 4 episodes. I
you
watched
see
the
the
Nick
Nick-
Offerman one.
You did see it.
And then I watched like maybe 2 more after that, and then I forgot about it, and then you know.
How good was that episode?
That was the best episode, yeah. I mean, I only watched like 8 episodes or 6 episodes, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great, like long term, it's building to be a special show.
Really?
We'll see
Okay.
where it goes. Yeah. But that episode was just so, what I like about some of these HBO shows is they'll bring in different directors to film different episodes. So they'll give them the story,
Yes.
but then let them run with it. And that episode was one of them because I remember learning about it. And it was like, it's,
Because he directed that.
oh, was it him?
Or, oh, okay, I wasn't
No,
sure.
no, I don't know if it was him.
Okay.
But maybe. But that was one where you could tell, like, you could see the vision of the director.
I'm going to look that up.
I know. I'm like so intrigued now. But shout out to Nick Offerman. He's just such like a good multi-dimensional actor. He can be funny as hell.
Yeah.
And then he could do a serious role like that. If you haven't watched Last of Us, as a Walking Dead fan, I highly recommend it. On HBO. Season 2 is about to come out. But that one episode, it was like a love story. This guy who was just like trying to protect his house. It was in the apocalypse, and another person comes along that at first he doesn't want to accept, and then they become close, and then the story they tell after that is just magnificent. Anyway, I'm getting off track because we love TV and movies, as you'll see as a reoccurring theme on this podcast. So the Offerman editions for a recommended Scotch. Now, I think that's going to be good for people that probably already like Scotch. What is a Scotch for somebody who doesn't like Scotch or doesn't even drink Scotch, maybe just bourbons, and you're like, I want to help get you into Scotch. What would you recommend?
So you want to get started with Scotch?
Yes.
I would say non-peaty Scotch,
Okay.
so that way you can get your little pinky toes wet with that. And I would say like a Macallan, even like you could go in the Glenmorangie.
Oh, that's a great one. I didn't think about that one.
Like cake as an example.
So we're such fat asses that like when the cake came out, they had a Glenmorangie Scotch, and it did have cake notes. Like,
Yeah, for
it was like
sure.
buttercream and stuff like
Very
that.
sweet. Yeah.
But our fat asses were like, we just wanted it automatic. We didn't read no reviews. We were just like, you want to go watch a movie and drink cake?
If I can drink cake, it's a good day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would do something like those that you don't get that harsh, peaty, flavor, the smokiness and all that kind of stuff, and then move into that later on because, Japanese could be a great introduction into Scotch as well because that's also toned down some of those and more floral than peat. So
Yeah, I had a buddy that was wanting to get into Japanese whiskey, which does have a lot of Scotch notes, or like you'll taste some Scotch things about it. And that's because the person who started whiskey in Japan actually went to Scotland and learned from them. You can Google it, look it up yourself. I'm not a history guy.
let's fact check this guy.
No, that's whatever I say is true. But you'll notice that. And I recommended Toki, which is a Beam product or a Suntory product. Toki is great. You can use it for highballs, soda water, lemon, and a little bit of Toki. It's light and refreshing. And then work your way up
And
to
very
Hibiki.
reasonable too, price wise.
Very reasonable. I think it's about $30.
Yep.
So if you like a hint of Scotch, a hint, but then you're going to like some floral notes, a little lemon note, and a light, delicate whiskey, I recommend trying it. And then following that, sometimes it's a little harder to find, but the regular Hibiki should be out there. And that's another step up in the Japanese. I think it's like $70 to $80 for a Japanese whiskey.
Just about.
It might have changed. I haven't.
It's a little higher, like 80 to 90
80
now.
to 90. Okay, so 80 to 90 for the Hibiki. And then they have like years after that you can get. Like I had a 21 year, which was something we've had before, which is insane. So that's one you can do. So starting there, now what would be, so you said, did you say a specific Scotch? You said something not peaty, maybe
Yeah,
a
so
Japanese.
like a Macallan.
A Macallan.
The
I was going to recommend a Macallan.
yeah.
I always joke and say Macallan's the bourbon of Scotch, but I say that just because I sometimes get like a caramel. It's just like bourbon notes almost.
Yeah, because some of their wood finishing, they're in oak instead of like sherry cask or something like that.
Oh, so there's a reason. I had no idea that.
Yeah, no, it's just you'll get X bourbon because they use those X casks.
That's so funny. I
So
thought it was just like,
it'll pick up some of those notes.
oh, interesting.
I mean, not to the extreme, but yes, for sure.
But you'll find that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And yeah, I've never found it. Obviously, it's not a peaty Scotch. But yeah, those things that when you hear people say they don't like Scotch, they say it's too smoky. They say it's too peaty.
Exactly.
Macallan just isn't one of those. The downfall with Macallan is it's very expensive.
For what it is too, as a blended, Scotch. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of options out there. I think even you could just go Glenmorangie, Glenlivet. Some of those are not super peaty. How about rye though? Some people have trouble with rye. What would you start with
We were having
as
this
an introduction
conversation.
to rye?
Yeah, we were having this conversation with, what was it, Ray? Bourbon Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Because he said he didn't like ryes. And a lot of people out there don't like ryes because what happens is some people will only try one that's a $20 bottle. And the cheaper ryes, the ryes that are very young, so maybe they're only aged for a year, they end up becoming too spicy, too bland. You have to try some better ryes. And a couple of ryes that have changed me to turn me into such a rye fan, off the top of my head, is going to be Widow Jane rye. That was like way back. But Widow Jane has a really good rye. It's in the green and white bottle.
Yeah.
Try that. Another one, it's crazy that this is out of Texas, but my favorite bottle that you can get at any store is the Still Austin Cask Strength Rye.
I can't believe that you told me that you like that better.
Better than the
Than-
regular Cask Strength.
Yeah, than the bourbon.
Mint chocolate chip, ice cream, grilled peaches. That's the notes that comes with it. And I found that. I didn't read it off their website. I read it off their website.
But you definitely get mint and then sweetness.
Yep.
Interesting.
And creaminess,
Interesting.
peachiness, and grilledness.
You hungry?
Am I Gordon Ramsay? But what about you? So that's two. For me, I say Widow Jane rye and then Still Austin Cask Strength rye are two ryes for me. Give me two ryes that you love.
Michter's rye is always like a solid. If I see that, I'm adding that too. Definitely a cocktail. And if I just want something, you know, I'll drink that. But even better is the Michter's Cask Strength rye. That's truly just a great pour.
I mean, I'm going to just, this is why we love Michter so much. And the Michter's 10-year rye.
Yeah.
I opened it, I told you, and I didn't like it because I thought it was
Right.
like bitter and like dry. And then it opened up and turned into something else, and
Yeah.
now I like it.
One of my all-time favorite ryes was the Booker's rye. That was a
Ooh.
one-time release a few years ago, or many years ago, and I wish I can get my hands on a bottle. Have you had the rare breed rye?
Yes.
How do you like that one?
Damn, it's been long, but I remember really liking it.
We should try that again. I was thinking about that the other day. As far as like cask strength, rare breed's such a great, you know, bottle and budget and stuff, but their rye was interesting to me. I think that anything from High West, like you said earlier, that was great. I'm blanking on any other ryes. But yeah, those.
Give me two. I'm trying to think. Oh, I got one for you. Hemingway rye.
Whoa,
We both love that.
we were blown away by that. And the second release was almost as good as that first one.
I agree.
Yeah, those were really, really good.
I don't think nobody talks about them either.
I know. We got to get some more spotlight on that. I actually was at a cigar event and somebody pulled that out, and I was like,
Are you
"Whoa!"
serious?
Yeah.
That would actually blow my mind.
Yep. Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I read some good things about this." I was like, "This is great."
I like that. So, how are we doing with time? We're at like 47 minutes. We're going to do about an hour because we got to get to this festival. We can't be late. One thing that we do a lot on this, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Because I want to jump into a movie I recently saw,
No, let's do it.
but I was wondering if there was any other subjects we wanted to hit on. Because also, I think what's cool about this podcast, and I want to say this, is you get to see like two best friends that don't get to see each other that often. So like today, I haven't seen him in a couple months. He got off his flight, came to the hotel, we drove over here, and now this is also like almost
Catching up.
yeah, it's us just hanging out.
Yeah.
So this is as real as it gets. Maybe we are keeping some rated R stuff out of the conversation. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. But that's why I wanted to ask you, was there anything else before I jumped into this?
No, I was just looking at some of the shows and on my IMDb, making sure because I keep a list of what I actually watch and so
Which
can
I
remember.
wanted to text you this. And you tell me if you already have it, but my little brother got me into it. Letterbox. Have you heard about Letterbox?
No.
So Letterbox, maybe it's like a Gen Z thing, but my little brother told me about it, which I have a really good relationship with my little brother. One of our hobbies is like watching movies at home, same with Jeremiah, going to the theater. And we love like watching the movie, being in the car, and then just like reviewing it and talking about it and all this stuff. And he told me about Letterbox. The downfall with the Letterbox is it does a rating. It's an app that rates movies.
Okay.
It starts almost like TikTok, where it'll just throw like La La Land up and it asks you to rate it. So you do it, and then it swipes to the next one. You could, and when you first download the app, you want to sit there for like 2 hours just going through all these movies. And you can put not seen, seen. You can do a list of like what I want to see, and then all this other stuff. And you can look at other people's reviews. I can see David's. I just started a top 20 favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
So I'm working on that. So you have to build it up. The biggest flaw with the app, though, is it only does ratings up to 5, and it's by halves. So you can't do points.
Wow.
So then now you're stuck here, and you're like, all right, I saw Interstellar. So for me, I give that a 5. I mean, we've had this conversation before. But you're going to get movies that you're like, okay, well, it wasn't perfect, but it also wasn't a 4.5. It's like a 4.7. Where do I put it? But you have to pick with the letterbox. So highly recommend that. Now that you're like keeping track of it, I think that would be a really cool one for you.
I've kept track of my watch list because I forget.
How do you
easily.
track it?
There, you just add a list and
Notes?
No, in IMDb in the watch list.
Oh.
So I just click off the things that I watch or want to watch if I get a good recommendation.
It's an app?
IMDb, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Like, I know the website.
IMDb.
I'm a boomer. I go to .com.
IMDb. Yeah, I have the app. Yep.
And does it let you rate movies?
Yes.
Because IMDb is one of my most trusted
I
ratings.
look at the ratings there too. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because like even Rotten Tomatoes, you never know, but with IMDb, you can trust it. Like if it's above 7, it's legit. It's a good
Yeah,
movie.
Rotten Tomatoes is fake. But anyway,
Are you
I'm just gonna throw out bold statements and let's just see what happens.
fake news? So what I wanted to bring up, since we always bring up at least one movie to finish our podcast or a TV show that we recently watched, and we try our best to pair it. The one that I have that I recently saw that blew me away is Alien, the Romulus. I think that was what it was. And I actually, guilty, never saw the original, which is pretty bad as a movie fan, but I don't like old movies.
I felt like I saw the original very young.
Okay.
So I barely remember
So
it.
it's known as like one of the greatest horror movies of all time. And it's really interesting because the first one was by Ridley Scott. And Ridley Scott did Gladiator and a bunch of other great movies. And then the second movie was by James Cameron, who did Titanic. And he turned it into an action movie. So it went from a horror movie to a pure action movie without the elements.
Alien 2.
Alien 2, which was
That's
also
the one I remember more.
Okay. And they say that was one of the greatest action movies of all time. So different director, different theme, and they still nailed it. And they say that's how you're supposed to do movies, is where you want it to be like, oh, you got your own take by that director. They didn't just try to copy the first thing. Anyway, I didn't see either of those. And then I didn't see the third, because I heard the third and fourth were pretty trashy. And
Right.
then they went into Alien versus Predators and all of that stuff. And I think I saw those when I was younger because they came out like around our time.
It was fun.
It was fun. I did watch, though, and they got like weird reviews when they first came out. Prometheus and Covenant. I loved them. I was like, what is this world? It was pretty much these people hopping on a spaceship, and they were pretty much looking for life outside of Earth, and then they find the aliens killed them. But then they opened up this whole new world of like, we were created on Earth by these creators. I don't know what they call them. And the creators somehow made the aliens that killed everyone. And they start to dive into all that, like why they did it. Then you start questioning, like, oh, why were we here? All this stuff. So love those movies. And then they announced that they're going to go back to the original way they did it. Let's just make it like the first one.
Okay.
As close as we can to that. We'll still touch on like subjects, but we're going to make it as similar to that, where they're just on a spaceship. They find out that there's an alien there, and they fight back.
Wow.
And they nailed it. It's arguably the best movie I saw of the year.
Wow.
Huge horror fan. But arguably the best movie I saw of the year.
Interesting.
They're going to make more. I've heard other people say it's the second best one out of all of them. So even over the action one.
Was it a well-known director?
How
about cast?
It is a well-known director.
And cast
so,
too?
Yes. Cast. They brought in like people who are blowing up now.
Okay.
So like you'll see them, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not. It was like when Timothée Chalamet was in movies. It was like before he blew up type of thing. But the director just did something else. Maybe it was like other horror movies.
Okay.
But anyway, so what I'm thinking is I wanted to like pair it with a whiskey. And I probably should have thought about this in advance. But I'm thinking,
would you say it made your heart race?
Heart race for sure, multiple times.
Palms
Dark,
sweaty?
Fighting back, scary. What would be a whiskey that you would like sit down to watch that? A horror movie, but like with action of fighting back.
Now, do you want to go contrast it to calm you down, or do you want to keep up with the action? So you need something as bold to keep
For
up
this
with
one,
the
I want
action.
to match it.
Okay.
Usually, I like to contrast it, but this one, I want
So
to
we
match
need
it.
something bold, spicy.
Spicy, but like like dark. And I think I got an idea from what you just said. But
Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to pull it out of you. I don't know.
Okay, so from what you just said to me, I'm gonna go with Garrison Brothers.
Ah, perfect.
Yep. Because talk about when you see that thing is so dark.
Yep.
And it's complex. Some people don't like it. Some people freaking love it. They have bottles when they do releases that go so quick.
Yep. Like Cowboy and stuff.
Yep. Which we're getting a bottle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They said they're going to send it to us.
I almost bought a bottle.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
But anyway,
he actually asked for your address yesterday.
Awesome.
So that'll be really cool. Okay. So just to let you know, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a horror movie called Don't Breathe.
Yes.
His name is Fede Alvarez. He recently did a remake of Evil Dead. He did a Texas Chainsaw. So he's an up-and-coming, I guess, horror director, and that's who did the movie. And then Ridley Scott was also the producer on it. So he he was still involved.
Wow.
And he's like 80 years old. And they're doing Gladiator 2. That's coming
I
out.
know. Denzel looks so badass in that.
I know. I'm actually hyped for it. And the other dude in it is, I think I was telling you about this, called Normal People, which is my Irish accent. Because that sounds just like an Irish person. But that's like the main guy in the movie is the guy who is the lover guy in that. So yeah, so Garrison Brothers, is it Balvenie? I feel bad not knowing it.
Balmore.
So that was the one that tastes like chocolate, like candy bar, but also complex, dark. So maybe the flavor notes are a little out there, but Garrison Brothers just gets you this taste that nobody else nails. And when we first tried it, we were unsure about it. But then over time, I've learned to respect it because I like that they're unique and different. So either I want you to match that, or I want you to give me something you recently watched. It could even be The Office, but give me something you really recently watched, and I want you to just pair it because that's how we end our podcast.
Okay. Actually, let me just double check the other. I'm gonna give a show. I've been watching more shows. Okay. I've watched.
I love that you're watching The Office again. So funny story. I want you to think about your thing, but I'm going to say this while you're doing it. We went to New York City. You guys following us probably saw like our little trip to New York, but then my plane got canceled. So I went and stayed at his house for a couple of days. And then we were just like watching The Office, eating ice cream. I was third wheeling with him and his wife. And then we watched like 2 episodes of The Office. And then now he's like, we've been watching it ever since. I love that.
So I watched a fun movie. I thought it was kind of fun. Wild. The Fall Guy.
Yes. I recently watched that too.
Yeah. Ryan Gosling.
My Hollywood sweetheart, Emily Blunt.
Yeah, she was great in that. So I actually was sipping on. I don't know. I just thought that this. I had it on the cart, and then I reached for it, just while we were watching it. I had a little pour, and then I go, "Damn, I'm gonna have some more." And that was our Still Austin pick.
No way.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That makes me happy.
Yeah. So our chapter 1 of.
Yep.
Whatever it is.
Texas Most Wanted.
Yes. And it was a great experience.
I like that.
Because just like the movie, you go on a little bit of ride. So, you're in this, like, that movie, you're in like it's like the third, whatever it's called, the third door, or what is it called? Where you're like in the movie.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Third wall. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The third wall.
Breaking through their wall.
Yeah. So, you go through that and you're seeing like him being an action star in a movie, but it's really a movie. So it kind of like messes with your head a little bit. And there's some comedy, a little bit of drama, and then a lot of action. And I felt like it ended up being a really nice pairing because you got that same thing. A little bit of spice,
Yep.
a little bit of sweetness, and then a nice proof to like take you through that. So
good plug. It's still available.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, go buy it.
Yeah, go buy it. I like that we did that release too because a lot of people say they've never tried Still Austin. We promote
it's a
Still
great
Austin.
way to do it. Yeah.
And we were able to find somebody that would be able to ship it.
I'm proud of it. It turned out to be great, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And even like because I let it you know, that was an open bottle, so it was a bit of air in there, and it was just like hit the spot.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's a perfect way to end it. Wow, we're like almost literally at an hour.
We're professionals. What can
This
you
is
say?
what we do. But thanks again for watching another Whiskey Boys episode. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We're going to be showing this whole journey of being in Louisville. We're going to be going constantly. But we're excited, and thanks for sitting with us through this little beginning part here.
Cheers.
Cheers.